Did you know that running out of arm stamina starts removing it from your legs instead? How about that the SJ6 stim works for replenishing your arm stamina just as well as with sprinting? Hello everyone, it's GigaBeef here, and today we're looking at, well, you probably guessed it, arm stamina, or more specifically, what affects it and which weapons give us longer looking through the scope when sniping. I started thinking about this more when playing Lighthouse and contemplating Tarkov Shooter Part 8, as to kill rogues and fight other players you need to be really agile, especially when solo. When aiming whilst lying down in the prone position, your arm stamina does go down, but it's at such a slow rate that you don't really need to worry about it. However, most of the time we don't have the luxury to be fixed in one spot. We're going to be looking at what affects arm stamina, as well as looking at various weapons, including the one that I ended up using to complete Tarkov Shooter 8 on the third try. So for arm stamina itself, players tend to be broadly aware that ergonomics and weight are the two key factors for how weapons handle, so first off we'll take a look at a few starting stats. The list of potential weapons with conventional sniping ability range greatly with their stock loadout weights, from 3.3 kilos for the VPO-215 all the way to the mighty Mark 18 at 6.5 kilos, although mods on these guns can take them radically away from their starting values. Given we'll be looking at long range combat and sniping, as a base principle I have assumed that A, we'll be using the Voodoo scope, and B, that we want to be suppressed at all times. On this basis, the lowest weight mount is the Night Force, and across suppressors, unless there's a specific one that we have to use, the Thunder Beast is the lightest at 0.32 kilos for both the muzzle device and the suppressor together. Note the focus on weight specifically here. Armed with this information, I tested a bunch of initial builds for the M700 primarily, as it has a large range of configurations, but it quickly became apparent that for arm stamina, the weight of the weapon has a much greater impact than the ergonomics. Using the data that I collected for every weapon, you can see here that the weight has a very distinct impact upon the amount of arm stamina that a weapon drains. The first series in pink is the time you'll get before you're in the red, which is when the scope starts shaking all over the place and is normally the time players look to recover their stamina. The second series is when you actually get to zero arm stamina completely. A few interesting notes from the testing itself. First, holding your breath makes no difference to the stamina drain, presumably as this is determined by another bar, although this one is hidden for some reason. I would like to see the breath bar get added, as it's something that you'd know if you were doing it yourself for real. Secondly, the SJ6 stim's stamina recovery bonus of +2 per second acts to increase the length of time that you can hold the gun in ADS, although it seems that the max stamina boost only happens for the legs. For reference, a 3.44 kg M700 could be held to red stamina for 36.2 seconds, with 31.8 seconds of breath recovery time to get back to full as standard, but 105 seconds with the SJ6 active, again to the red bar, and 134 seconds to empty, with only 20.5 seconds to get a full stamina bar back. Now presumably this works for Meldonin as well, as this has plus 0.5 recovery per second. This is a fraction of the SJ6 bonus, but given that it acts for 15 minutes rather than 4 minutes, it's more practical to have active for longer periods of time. For all of these stats, my endurance is currently 21. This skill should relate to an increase in the stamina bar, which presumably works for arms too, but I haven't tested it. The conclusion so far is that weight has a massive impact on arm stamina, but what about ergonomics? The reality is that ergo has a small part to play. You can see on this chart the difference between these 2 points are 3.4 kilograms and 3.44 kilograms, but this one has 28 ergo and this one has 60.5. Both of these relate to different M700 builds, but the difference in ADS hold time is only 2 seconds, even with an ergo swing of 32.5. Isolating out this information on a chart, you can see there is a correlation there, but it's pretty weak. Plus, most of the time, low weight parts tend to have better ergonomics anyway as a general trend, so these two stats aren't actually fully untangleable. Ergo does have a big impact on ADS speed though. We can see the weight this time has little bearing and is primarily driven by the ergo stat. The difference between high ergos of over 50 and low ergos of under 20 roughly corresponds to a doubling in the ADS speed, from about 7 or 8 frames to more like 14. Either way, if we want better arm stamina, we primarily have to use a lighter weapon. We see the main benefits under about 4 kilos, where typically you get 32 seconds of ADS time before hitting the red, but it's really easy to end up with a heavy gun once you've added mags full of ammo, suppressors, scopes, and tactical devices. Every kilogram you add approximately lowers the total time before hitting red stamina by 3 seconds. For example, above 6 kilograms, you normally only get around 25 seconds of ADS time. Next, let's check out a few weapons. The VPO-215 and SV98 are decent contenders first off, and the VPO specifically because it has the lowest starting weight of all of the guns I looked at, as well as only taking 4 rounds in a magazine, so is lighter due to this to begin with. Adding the suppressor and the Voodoo gets to 4.7 kilos and 29 seconds into the red stamina, which is honestly not terrible, although the ADS speed is a little low at 14 frames due to the low ergonomics of the weapon overall. The new SV98OV is much lighter than the original at 3.96 kilos. Suppressed and scoped, it comes to 4.97 kilograms, again giving us 29 seconds and about 10 frames of ADS, but interestingly here, you can actually remove the stock, which is nearly 1 kilo in weight. This takes the overall weapon to 3.9 kilograms instead, for nearly 3 seconds more arm stamina, and has practically no other effect on the gun, outside of lower ergonomics, which increases the ADS time by a few frames, and for making it look like an oversized pistol. As it's a bolt action, we don't care about the recoil, so this helps make your whole kit lighter too, and could actually be a genuine consideration. As for a few light assault rifles in 7.62 NATO, the minimum holdable SR25 only weighs a mere 2.57 kilos, which boasts an incredible 41 seconds of arm stamina, but with a suppressor, a scope and a mag ends up at 4.5 kilos again for 29 seconds. And you have to sacrifice a bunch of ergonomics to get here, which really hurts the ADS speed. A semi-meta version with the RSAS handguard and the MOE carbine butt pad is more like 5 kilos and a touch worse on arm stamina, but the ergo makes up for it a little bit, as well as halving the ADS speed back to 8 frames. Similarly, the Scar H is a light weapon to begin with, and if you throw off everything non-essential, you can get it to 4.7 kilos with a Thunderbeast and a Voodoo on the short barrel version. However, a sensible build that balances for ergo as well comes close to 5 kilograms again. One of Tarkov's least used guns, the G28, was one of the only non-bolties that I could find that runs under 4 kilograms, although this is, let's just call it, unconventional. The best weapon overall for arm stamina though, in my opinion, is the M700. Although it starts at 4 kilos, there are 2 lightweight chassis for this gun. Firstly the Mod X, but because it requires a pistol grip and a stock, in theory anyway, the minimum viable build is over 4 kilograms before adding a real stock or even a magazine. The other alternative is the AICS, which is incredibly light at 0.64 kilos, deals with our stock and pistol grip issues all in one unit without doing anything funny, and also allows us to use the super light 10 round polymer Magpul magazines as well. Fully loaded up with M80, the M700 ends up at 3.9 kilos with 32 seconds of ADS time and around 11 frames of ADS speed. This weapon is so light that it's possible to create a kit with a full secondary weapon as a sidearm, for example the MP7. Those few extra seconds of arm stamina might not seem like much on paper, but when in raid, often if you spot someone and are tracking or taking follow-up shots, having anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds of extra time before needing to recover stamina can make a real difference. After doing the research, this gun is the one that I settled on in fact to complete Tarkov Shooter Part 8, so finally we'll check out how it felt in that raid. Just trying to scope out, see if anybody comes running along. I'm trying to stay low and use the divot, but still be able to keep my visibility across the widest possible landscape so I can see movement if it appears. They may well have just got up to village though, whoever spawns down there. You used to basically have to come this way, but these days you don't anymore. Love YouTube vids and the podcast, don't get to catch the stream too much, lurking at work. Awesome. Well, did I get him? He is. That was me. Hey man. Are you trying to complete that quest? It looks like it. Junkie? Yeah. I'm trying to do Tarkov Shooter Part 8. So I'm aggressively looking for people. You kind of caught the unfortunate end of my haste. Alright. We're going up to the spine. Enjoy that SR. Was my first round, so I wasn't warm yet. Yeah. Normally every round for me is like my first round. Especially when I'm using bolties. You can have it back if you want. Down to 300k? Yeah, sure, no worries, dude. Not a very good hiding place, is it? It'll do. It's making me overweight anyway. Where is that scav? No scav. I've got a scav guardian now. He's our little early warning system. I haven't even heard any shots inside Sawmill or anything. It's like super quiet. Well, we got the one kill, but now what? Am I too impatient or not impatient? Not impatient enough. I'm never sure with this quest. Maybe we have a shifty around. We just have a snoop about here. We do need to be over there at least, so we can make our escape. It's not worth the M61. This used to be such a hotspot. You never see anybody on here anymore. People used to be up on this all the time. But now that the back end has been opened up, like no one's ever on it. Oh dear. Yeah, the only other thing I can think to do, get 2 kills now, is to just like wait here while people loot and then come back across. Normally I'm holding like a VPO. Bolty and nothing else. And I'm like looking for scav kills and I'm like writing scripts or something and I'm just lying in this area. This is normally where I lie for all of my scav kills, scav kill quests. I just wait for people to come by. Because people can like walk right behind you and they can't even see you. So we'll see. We won't spend too long here, but... They look kind of scavvy. Hard to tell when they're in that kind of intermediary state. They were sort of like, had some scav stuff on. They could be someone low level. They're in a bit of an odd place for a scav. There is not very scavvy. No, exactly. So that's the thing. It's like they kind of look like a scav. They were sort of acting like a scav, but hard to know. Just drink a can of energy drink and just chill. The need outskirts are accounted for you and your kill. That's true, so there's less. There are less people. Does decrease the probabilities. Let's have a quick look in Scav Shack. In the attachments shack. He was a PMC. He was a PMC. Who's that? Could well just be a scav though. And somewhere in Sawmill, but I'm not sure where. The scav in that building. Alright, where's our player? I hope someone doesn't slide past me at outskirts now. That'll be... Not that I'll ever know, but... That's unlikely. I'm gonna go back to outskirts, I'm scared. I'm scared of somebody sliding past me. I don't know where else these people might... Like, I know people have to extract over here, but there's... I'm one of them, and we killed one of the others. There's a shot. But it's miles away. It's miles away, but we've got to go for it. Yes! Guys, we did it! We did it! I can't believe we did it already. That's nutty, man. That's nutty. What the hell? My heart is beating like freaking crazy, dudes. There we go. Yeah, one tap. Easy one taps. We're both probably doing Tarkov Shooter 8. That's the thing. Bolty's nuts. I know, I didn't want to bring a sidearm to force myself to get into those engagements. I would rather die than get the third kill with a 5.7 or something. Yeah, that was... those fights are some of the funnest fights though, no? Don't you find those fights really hilarious? Next up, go and check out my cheapest suppressed sniper build video here. Otherwise, as usual, a big shout out to all my patrons. Hit all the buttons if you enjoyed the video. And as always, have fun in your raids.